Hello YouTube, this is Pro Digi back again. Now last time we looked over our take of a ShineGreymon burst mode. Now we're going to look at his mirror opposite, ShineGreymon Ruin mode. Let's get into it. So first up, we're going to have the Digi-Egg. And like I said before, this one's going to be very different while looking similar to the other deck, whereas the other deck wanted to try and punch hard or punch often while doing a little bit of some control. This deck is going to focus on a lot of control. So our Koromon here has your turn once per turn. When one of your yellow or red tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1000 DP. And as for our rookies, we are running 4 copies of Agumon from BT12. Reveal the top 4 of your deck. Add 1 Digimon card with Greymon in its name and 1 Marcus Daemon among them to put in your hand. Place the rest at the bottom in any order. Inheritable, your turn once per turn when one of your yellow or red tamers becomes suspended, minus 2000 DP on something. Then we're running 4 copies of the BT13 Agumon. Main once per turn. For the turn, one of your Marcus Daemon is also treated as a 3000 DP Digimon and can't Digivolve. Inheritable, when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, you may delete one of your opponent's 3000 DP or less Digimon. And then last, we are running 4 copies of EX4 Agumon. Start of your main phase, if you have a red or yellow tamer, gain a memory. Inheritable, your turn once per turn. When one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, draw a card. Now on to our champions. We are running 4 copies of ShineGreymon. This one has start of your main phase. If you have a red or yellow tamer, gain a memory. Its inheritable is when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, draw a card. Then we have 4 copies of BT12 ShineGreymon. When digivolving, if you don't have a Marcus Daemon in play, you may play one from your hand without paying the cost. Inheritable, your turn once per turn. When one of your yellow or red Digimon when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, minus 2000 DP on something of your opponents, of course. Then only 1 copy, because it's all we're allowed to play, of BT13 ShineGreymon. When digivolving, search your security stack. You may play 1 red or yellow tamer among them. If you do, recover 1 and shuffle your security stack. Inheritable, your turn once per turn. When one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Then we got 3 copies of ShineGreymon from the Starter Deck 7. Has a security effect of, at the end of battle, play this card without paying its cost, and then on play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. Now, on to our level 5s. We're running 4 copies of EX4 ShineGreymon. He has, when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon and all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 4000 DP for the turn. It also has the inheritable of when one of your turn once per turn. When one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon and all of their security Digimon gets minus 4000 DP for the turn. As you can see, very, very controlling. Now, we still have to run another level 5 that's similar to the other deck. And that's because we do rely on our Marcus Daemons a bit, so we got to have a little bit of protection for them. So that's why we're running this version of ShineGreymon here. It has when digivolving, if you have a yellow or red tamer, gain 1. All turns once per turn, when one of your tamers is deleted, place one Marcus Daemon from your trash on top of your security stack face down, and its inheritable is the same effect. So we're not as reliant on this deck on getting our Marcus Daemons out to swing with them, but we do want to get our tamers out because we are running 4 copies of BT2 ShineGreymon. Now, this version of ShineGreymon is all yellow, and he says, when digivolving, suspend all of your yellow tamers. For each tamer you suspend this way, activate the following effect. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4,000 DP for the turn. As well as your turn, this Digimon gets 1,000 DP for each tamer you have in play. Now, that might not look that powerful off the bat, but I will go into some details here in a moment of why this version is very control-y, because we're using this version of ShineGreymon. Alright, our backup Mega is actually going to be the BT13 version of ShineGreymon. And it has start of your main phase and when digivolving, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Marcus Daemon is also treated as a 3000 DP Digimon, can't digivolve, and gains blocker. All turns once per turn, when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn. So this version of ShineGreymon turns our Marcus Daemon into a Digimon, but also makes it into a blocker. So instead of swinging to hit face like the other version, this version can utilize him as a blocker instead. And again, you will soon see why that makes this deck a lot more controlling. So, for our tamers, we are running 3 copies of Cody. Now, Cody here has start of your main phase. If you have a yellow Digimon in play, gain 1 memory, which all of our Digimon are considered to be yellow because they're both yellow-red or just yellow. I think the only exception might be the ShineGreymon from the starter deck 7, but we're only using that as a jumping point if need be to go into a ShineGreymon. He also has your turn. When one of your Digimon with 2 or more colors attacks, you may suspend this tamer to give one of your opponent's Digimon minus 2,000 DP for the turn. So as you can see, we have several ways of minusing our opponent's Digimon, controlling the board and deleting stuff much, much more easier than the more aggro version that you've already seen in my profiles. But now on to the main man himself. Marcus Daemon is the other tamer we're running. This one's the BT13 version. We're not running the other version like you saw in the other deck to help us digivolve, because we want to be more defensive and more control-y. That's where this one comes into play. This one is a memory fixer. Start of your turn, if you have 2 or fewer memory, set it to 3. It has on play, you may suspend this tamer. All turns, when this tamer becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP for the turn. Then if you have a Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name, gain a memory. So the control aspect is we're going to be able to gain memory. We're going to be able to minus DP. And again, we can set our memory. And then when this guy gets played, we can choose to suspend him. And when we do, we minus 3,000 DP on something and gain a memory. You combine that with the effects that we've already seen that says that when our yellow or red tamers get suspended, we can minus DP or draw a card. So a little more control-y. Now, obviously, This version of Marcus Damon works great with this version of ShineGreymon, because when we turn him into a blocker, when we do go to block, we can minus 3000 DP on something, as well as an additional 6 or more, depending on inheritables, with this ShineGreymon's all-turn, once per turn effect. But that's not all. With this version of ShineGreymon, when we evo into him, it says to suspend all of our tamers, and then for each tamer we suspend this way, we get to minus 4,000 something, right? Well, guess what else also minuses DP whenever it gets suspended? Our Marcus Damon. So actuality, if we were to have these Marcuses out and we evo into this ShineGreymon, we're not minusing 4 for every tamer. We can minus up to 7 for each tamer. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now imagine that if we actually had multiples of this Marcus Damon out. Or if not, our backup is to have the Cody. Because again, when we digivolve into this, we can suspend the Codys and at least get minus 4,000 through that. But yes, we want to get our Marcus Damons out, but not because we want to punch face with them, but because we want to use them to help control the board. Because all we gotta do is have at least 2 of these guys out. When we digivolve into here, we can minus 7. That's rather deleting 2 fairly decent sized bodies or 1 very big one. Not to mention our inheritables. So like I said, this deck and this version is a lot more on the control-y side. And then last but not least, for our options, we are only running 3. We're running a Shining Blast. You may play 1 Marcus Damon from your hand without paying its cost, and then for each yellow and or red tamer you have in play, 3 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP. Final Shining Burst. 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 12 until the end of your opponent's turn. Then you may play a Marcus Damon from your hand without paying the cost. As well as a Sunrise Buster, because we're only allowed to play 1. You may play 1 yellow or red tamer from your hand without paying the cost. Then 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for each yellow and or red tamer you have in play. But, of course, I'm also skipping over the actual big boss monster himself. But again, I believe that's only because he too, like the other version, is only a temporary form. We do run 2 copies of ShineGreymon Ruin mode. Now, what does this monster do? Well, first of all, he can evo from purple or yellow for 5. He can evo from a ShineGreymon for 4. He has when digivolving and on deletion until the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5000 DP. That is a blanket effect. So that's going to just cover the entire board. They try to push something out of raising, unless it's strong enough on its own, it will most likely die. If they try to hard play something to get the on-play effect, it will not only die, but because it died, they're not going to get the on-play effect. He also has the end of attack effect. He says, delete this Digimon and 1 of your opponent's Digimon, and recover 1. Then, if you have a tamer in play, hatch 1 Digi-Egg to an empty space in your breeding area. So when this guy comes out, and when he swings, he deletes himself. So you can minus 5 if you maintain turn after digivolving, swing, delete yourself along with something else of your opponent's, recover 1, possibly hatch, and on top of all that in the end, you have a blanketed minus 5 for a grand total of minus 10 on your opponent's board. They're not going to be able to have any plays for at least a whole turn, while you're set up nice and neat, ready to rebuild. But yes, that has been it. That is my take on ShineGreymon Ruin mode. What's your thoughts below? Do you like to run ShineGreymon Ruin mode and Burst mode in the same deck? Do you combine them? Or do you do like I do and separate them out? I just feel like they each do better in their own perspective decks. But anyway, this has been Prodigious, and I will see you next time.